Well, good evening, folks, or good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. Quincy Kane Morris here, and this is live stream number 30. And later on in the stream, we're going to be talking about how to write metal riffs or metal chord progressions. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Of course, in the meantime, we're going to wait for people to show up. If you're watching this on the replay, I'll have a timestamp, a link in the description, so you can skip ahead to the topic if you'd like to, although I'd like you to stick around, hear some of the music. But yeah, while we're waiting for more people to show in, I'm going to play a few songs for you. But let me ask you real quick, what are some of your favorite riffs? Leave a comment. What are some riffs that just get stuck in your head, or maybe some of your favorite to play on guitar? Leave a comment. What are some of your favorite riffs? And in the meantime, I'm going to play a song for you. Here we go. I can hear you, but I won't. Some look for trouble, while others don't. There's 1,000 reasons I should go about my day and ignore your whispers, which I wish would go away. Oh. You're not a voice, you're just a ringing in my ear. And if I heard you, which I don't, I'm spoken for, I fear. Everyone I've ever loved is here within these walls. I'm sorry, secret siren, but I'm blocking out your calls. Like that, my adventure, and I don't need something new. I'm afraid of what I'm risking if I follow you into the unknown. Want, cause you've been keeping me awake. Are you here to distract me so I make a big mistake? Or are you someone out there who's a little bit like me, who knows deep down I'm not where I'm meant to be? Every day's a little harder as I feel my power grow. Don't you know there's part of me that longs to go into the unknown? Do you know me? Can you feel me? Can you show me? Whoa. Where are you going? Don't leave me alone. How do I follow you into the unknown? Let go. Nice. Stan says he just learned Enter Sandman. That's definitely a fun riff. I'm not in the right tuning, but let's see. I gotta play it differently. So. Yeah, that's a good riff right there. For anyone just joining us, we're going to be talking about how to write metal riffs. We're going to talk about that a little later on in the stream, just giving people some time to come in, and we're just kind of hanging out a bit before we get into the topic. But yeah, we were talking about what are some of your favorite streams? Streams. What are some of your favorite riffs? Let's see. For me, that's hard. I know if any of you are familiar with the band SETLIST, those guys write some catchy riffs, like just some really heavy stuff. One of my favorites is, oh my gosh, what's it called? Servitude. Yeah, that's a heavy riff, and that's a fun one to play. I play it almost all the time whenever I'm in standard tuning. Let's see. What are some other ones? I don't know. Killswitch riff is pretty good from My Curse. Let's see. Chevelle has some pretty good riffs. Ding, ding. Yeah, a lot of good riffs. So if you're just joining us, leave a comment. What are some of your favorite riffs? In the meantime, yeah, we're going to be talking about that later on in the stream. But just to let you guys know, so I'm actually trying something a little different this evening. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm actually wireless right now. What? Yeah, kind of cool, huh? So I received an email maybe a week ago or something like that from a company called Phoenix Pro, and they reached out to me about trying out one of their products. They said, hey, we checked out your YouTube channel, and we think it'd be cool if you could try out one of our products and kind of review it and let us know your thoughts and stuff. And so they sent me this product in the mail for free. I didn't have to pay for it. And it's a wireless guitar system, and I'm going to try it out. It only costs about $60. And most wireless guitar systems are over $100. There's like a few that are under that price range. So I've been trying it out for a couple days, and so far so good. I've been trying it in different scenarios. Excuse me. So I kind of tested it out with my home studio rig, and then I was actually at my church last evening, and I was practicing with the band there, and playing through a PA system and all that, and it seemed to work pretty good there. There were a few little issues that I might have to figure out. I'm not really familiar with how to work wireless systems and stuff, but there's different channels so that you can change like the frequency or whatever, however that works, like the signaling and stuff. And I think like if you're getting noise in a certain signal, then you got to change it to another one. So yeah, that's something I still got to play around with a little bit. But what I'm really testing this evening is the battery life. Usually these streams go on for about an hour and a half. That's probably the average length that these streams go. And so we're going to see if this holds up. If it doesn't, I've still got my instrument cable as a backup. But we are going to try out, just see if this wireless system is going to last for the whole show. But it sounds pretty good, So yeah, that's pretty cool. Kind of excited about that. Appreciate, brands reaching out to me and stuff. So yeah, some pretty cool opportunities. So while we're waiting for a few more people to show up, I am going to dive into another song here, and then later on we're going to be talking about how do you write a good heavy metal riff. We're going to kind of look into that some. Stan mentioned Crazy Train as a favorite riff. That's definitely a classic. That's a fun one to jam to with some friends. Definitely like one of the best intros to a song. Can't say I really care for the rest of the song, but that intro is a good one. But yeah, going to dive into another song here. But yeah, share some of your favorite riffs. If you got a favorite riff, leave a comment. And later we're going to talk about what it takes to write a good riff. Also, if you have any suggestions for topics, I'm trying to come up with topics for these videos and stuff. So what do you guys have questions about? What are you guys interested that you would like to discuss that's music related? So if you have any suggestions, please don't be shy. Feel free to leave a comment to give me some ideas for future installments. So anyway, going to dive into another song here. This one's an instrumental. Hope you like it. Like you. Man, I hope I didn't hear that correctly, but I do think somewhere in that song I noticed that my signal might have shorted out. Again, I'm playing with a wireless system here, so we're trying it out, see what's going to happen. Logan, thanks for joining us. Good to have you there. We're just talking about some of our favorite riffs and stuff. I don't know if you have any favorite songs that have like a really cool intro, and you just hear that, and you're like, man, that is so cool. You know, if you have a favorite riff, let me know. Thanks, Stan. I appreciate that. What else was I? I was thinking something. Oh my gosh, it totally went blank. There was the signal thing. Darn it. I totally drew a blank. I was going to say something else, but not really sure. Anyway, if you're just joining us, later on in the stream, we're going to be talking about our favorite riffs, or how to write a metal riff and how to write metal chord progressions. So we're going to be talking about that in a little bit here. And I've just been asking, what are some of your favorite riffs, sharing them, and some of your favorite riffs to play, or just, from a song in general. Yeah, let's see what's going on in the chat. Yeah, so I think Stan's confirming. It sounded like something shorted out for just a second, and again, I don't know if that's the wireless system or not. So definitely something to keep an ear out for. Now, it's possible that maybe it's the setting I'm on, the channel or something like that. So not really sure, but yeah, we'll keep monitoring this and see how it works throughout the stream. Also, I apologize if the stream is lagging. When I was doing some tests earlier, the stream seemed to be lagging, and trust me, it frustrates me when that happens. I already don't have the fastest internet where I'm at, and then whenever there's stormy weather, it seems like whenever there's a rainy day, that's usually when my streams have a lag to them, and so it has been pretty rainy today. Or at least it's been wet. I don't know if it's really been raining. Might have just rained last night or something. But main point, sorry if it's lagging. If it is lagging, then, well, there you go. Just enjoy the podcast, because the audio usually comes through fine. So just kind of listen to this as a podcast, and you don't have to worry about me skipping out and stuff. All right, going to dive into one more song here, and then we are going to go into our topic. We're going to talk about how to write a metal riff. And I know, Logan, I know you play drums, but you might still learn a thing or two from this to kind of think what the drums can do to accent a riff, like to make a riff even better. I mean, again, Stan mentioned Crazy Train as a favorite riff, and the intro of that, let's see. That riff right there, the drums are syncing up with that dun 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 dun. So it's definitely something to think about as a drummer. When someone has a cool riff, how do you support that riff? How do you make that riff sound even cooler? You don't just want to play a basic beat over top of it, unless, I mean, sometimes that can work, but that might be the right thing to do. But if there's some way to kind of accent or build off of that riff, yeah, it's definitely something to look to do. But yeah, going to dive into another song here. But let me know, what is the hardest song that you know how to play on guitar or bass or drums? What's the hardest song that you know how to play? Leave a comment, and yeah, go into another song here. Logan mentioned Seven Nation Army. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's see if I can. Yeah. So, and then Stan, when you're saying I blink out, do you mean the audio, or do you just mean the video? That's kind of what I meant by the video lagging. Is that what's happening? Where sometimes I'll be standing here and then it'll be like, huh! And I'll freeze for a second and then keep going. And is it just the video, or is the audio doing it as well? Anyway, gonna go into another song here. This is the one you've all been waiting for. This one's called Waiting. So, this is where we are. Where else have we been? Circling this room, round and round again. Look into my eye, see if there's a change. Who I tried to be is not who I became. Everyone is gone, they found a way out. I will find it too, any second now. But will you find me? I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. It seems so long ago since we first began. Now that it's today, maybe this will end. Seeing no results has got me feeling down, but I'll be up again any minute now. But will you find me? I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. But will you find me? I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. Been so patient. Time is wasting, and I can't take it. Please give me something. I'll take anything. Just don't leave me. Anything, no. But will you find me? I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. But will you find me? I'm still waiting. Thank you. Again, that song was called Waiting. And for those of you who watched my past couple streams, whenever I performed that song, for a while I had forgotten to update the backing track. Or technically I updated it, but I left out those little harmonics, the little, that little bit in the bridge. So, yeah, I got that fixed, in case you noticed. And then, I don't know what happened to my hand. I didn't pull anything, It's, like, right there, like, at my thumb. So it's at a weird, it's not even, like, my fingers or anything, but sort of a slight discomfort. Not sure what happened there. I don't know. That was a weird feeling, And I just, rather than fighting through it, I was like, all right, maybe I better, shake that out or something. I think that's just one of those like getting 30 injuries. Like for some reason, when you get older, like when you're 30, just you can get hurt getting out of bed or getting into bed. Like the body sucks. When you're younger, it's like you're made out of rubber and you just fall and you get back up. And then when you get older, like I'm probably in the best shape of my life. Like I work very hard to take care of myself, but then just like stupid things will like, injure my hand or my foot or knee or ankle or something like that, and it's, I don't know. It's just getting older. Anyway, let's have a look at what's going on in the chat. Good stuff. Yeah, Logan says probably the hardest song for him right now is Red is Blue because of the timing. And yeah, that's the tricky thing is, anticipating that time, especially as the drummer. It's kind of interesting. You guys know Jill. I'm giving Jill drum lessons as well. And playing guitar, she's so comfortable with, getting the cues. Usually the drummer is the one who gives the cues. So it's like you're kind of playing and then you hear that fill or you hear the drums building up and you're like, oh, we're about to go into the chorus. You know what's going to happen just from listening to the drums. But when you're playing the drums, you are the cue giver. You're kind of like a director for the band or a composer. You're kind of telling everyone what to do by where you go. So as a drummer, you've got to know the song. You have to know the arrangement because everyone's following you. Or it's kind of confusing because they're following the vocals, but like, the music is the foundation for the song is provided by the drums. So that's kind of what they're following. But then like if the vocalist doesn't know the arrangement and goes to the wrong place, then yeah, you might have to tweak and adapt to that. But ideally, the drummer is the one who needs to know the arrangement. So yeah, I can understand where that song can be kind of tricky, just getting the timing and remembering like all those switches and like how long to play something for before adding a fill. But in time, all that's going to become secondhand nature, and what you're learning of that song is going to carry over to other songs as well. Yep, we'll see how 45 goes, but definitely going to try to take care of myself as best I can so that 45 isn't too rough. But let's see here, and then yeah, when you say you like that song, I don't know if you meant the one I just played, Waiting. If you do like that song, well, thank you. I appreciate that. If you meant a song that was mentioned earlier, whether it was the one we were talking about, Red is Blue, or the honky tonk one that you commented about, you know, cool. And then and yeah, Jill is a machine. She can play guitar, piano, and she's learning drums right now. Um, uh, and I'm gonna be showing her some stuff on bass eventually. But I think it's cool that she has that interest. And Stan, you're not too far off yourself. You've learned guitar and you're learning bass now. And maybe after you get comfortable on bass, maybe we'll have to get you playing some drums or some keyboard or something like that. So. All right, guys. So I think we're going to dive into our topic. If anyone is joining our stream right now, we are going to be talking about how to write metal riffs. That's what we're going to look at now, and a lot of the things that apply to metal riffs will carry over to other styles of music. This is mostly rock and metal, and we're definitely going to talk about some things that are kind of unique to metal. But there's still some concepts here that can probably be carried over to other styles of music as well. But let's go ahead and dive into it. The way I want to do this. So I actually want to start at like a very beginner level. So I'm gonna tune my guitar back into standard tuning. There we go. So, as far as guitar, most guitars, like the standard tuning is standard E tuning. Now my guitar is in standard D tuning. So it's the same thing as standard E, but then it's just 2 steps lower. And then I play in what's called drop tuning a lot. We're actually going to talk about that later, but let's start in standard tuning. Okay, and we're going to kind of talk about 4 different levels of riff writing. We're going to kind of start with the basic, like the very core minimum basics that you need just to begin writing riffs, and then little by little we're going to add new techniques, and with each new technique, it opens up more possibilities on what you can do with your riffs, specifically for something like metal. So first thing, the staple of rock and metal is learning the power chord. That's a power chord. That shape right there. It's just 3 notes. Oh. That sounded kind of... Yeah. Okay. That power chord. And really, you could leave the pinky out and just play those 2. When I was first playing guitar, that's how I played my power chords, like that for a long time. And then once I got better, I added that pinky in there. But what's cool about this shape is that you can play it pretty much anywhere. Now, ideally, you want to stay on the lower string, so you want your pointer finger to be on the lowest string, the E, or the D string in this case, or the next lowest string. So those 2 right there. You don't really want to go up there because that's where the tuning changes, and plus, usually with heavy metal, what sounds heavy is lower sounding chords. So getting down there. But what's so cool about this technique is you can write right away. You don't have to know theory. You don't need to know the name of the chords. You just literally pick a spot, like I'm just going to pick this one, and then you go somewhere else, and then somewhere else. And I just wrote a song, We'll do it again. We'll start here, go up here, down. So that's literally all it takes to start writing, and you just got to experiment and just kind of find different shapes and patterns, like, oh, I like going from here to there, or, oh, I don't really like that. I'm going to stay away from that. And, you just come up with different shapes and patterns using those power chords. The second thing you really want to learn how to do is a technique called palm muting. Okay? You use your palm and your picking hand. And for those of you who know, this is the bridge of the guitar. We're not resting on the bridge, but right in front of the bridge. So... and it kind of mutes it, but the note still rings out, and you get this very, kind of contained, sort of heavy, round sort of sound. And if you go up even a little more, that's where you get kind of that genty sound. If you go up too much, eventually you're just muting the strings. So you got to find that sweet spot where it kind of resonates. But if you learn that, just take your power chord and then palm mute it. And there again, there's a riff I just made up, It's super. So see how easy that is? Just power chords and just palm muting. And then it's just up to you to kind of experiment and see what you can do with that. Now, along with palm muting, one thing that's very unique to metal is a lot of times the guitar, the bass, and the kick drum, the kick of a drum set, they'll play in sync, and they'll play these patterns. So, if you listen to any metal song, you get that, or, they're really quick, like, that's the double bass. It's 2 pedals, 2 kick pedals on the drum set. So just take your palm mute and just kind of add like a little pattern to it, like a triplet or something like. Something like that. And again, you just take that and just come up with some kind of like rhythmic pattern, like. Again, I'm just making that up on the spot, but that's just an example. Just using those techniques, just some palm mutes, some power chords, and then just kind of chugging and finding some kind of percussive kind of pattern. That's really all it takes to get started. So that's like level 1. let's look into taking it a little more advanced. Where things really changed for me and where I started getting more into like actual metal riff writing was when I learned about drop tuning. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to drop tune my guitar. Also, if you have any questions about this topic, feel free to leave them. I'm going to answer questions later on at the end. But yeah, so drop tuning. So what did I just do? I just played my third string, which in this case is a C. On most guitars, it would be a D. But you play that string, and then you tune your low string down 2 steps to match it. So since this is a C, and since my low string was a D, by going down 2 steps, D flat, C, now they're both Cs. So what does that do? Well, it takes that power chord that took 3 fingers to play, and now, because I've tuned this note lower, this note is now moved up to here. So to play this power chord, now it's these 3, which means I don't need all 3 fingers. I can just use 1 finger. So those power chords, now you can just use 1 finger to play them. If you play on the second string, you still got to do it the regular way. But on this low string, you can play just an open chord. You can play just 1 finger. And this opens up so many possibilities. Probably the first possibility is being able to play chords quickly. So first thing I think of is a band like Chevelle, and one of their riffs goes. That riff would be near impossible to play with regular power chords, but with drop tuning, it's possible. There's also riffs like I have a song called A Place to Call Home, and I use this technique. So I'm just kind of chugging on that low string and then just kind of playing, just hitting different chords and kind of playing this back and forth pattern. So that's a really cool technique. Flyleaf uses this technique. Let me see what other examples I have written down. I had a band called At War With Myself, and we used that technique a lot. One song, we had this little breakdown that went. So that's a really fun technique that opens up a lot of things. The other cool thing it does is it frees up your other fingers so you can kind of extend the chord and make some really cool chords. I might get into that more later, but one of my favorites is just adding the ring finger, 2 strings down, 2 frets over. So right there, I love that chord. And you can play it pretty much anywhere. You can take all your basic power chords, you just add that ring finger in there and it sounds cooler. It's like a really easy way to take like a boring chord progression and just make it a little more interesting. Yeah, it's not really 1 string. I mean, well, yeah, the tuning is 1 string. You just tune the low string. That's what's being changed. And then it enables you. I'm still playing power chords, but now I can play them with 1 finger instead of using 3 fingers. So it allows you to play these really quick riffs. So really helpful. So let's look at level 3. So now we're going to take that. Let's see what I got to remind myself. All right, so level 3. So these are all just chords, but you can still get single notes in there. And a lot of times riffs are really cool when you get some single notes in there. So one example of this would be killswitch engage. So a couple things we're doing there. So we're using those power chords. We're just chugging. So that's just a simple like chord pattern. And you're just adding some chugs in there to make it kind of aggressive, you know? And then we've got this little riff in here, this little... And those are just single notes. I'm sliding up. So kind of fitting in those little notes in between. And then back to the chugs. And then we do it again down here. And that's another very metal thing, to add squealies. There we go. Yeah. So that is done by, you're just picking a note, and then you're using your thumb and just lightly touching the string right after you pick it. So you pick the note, and then you touch it with your thumb lightly, and then you just give the string a little wiggle. So that's how you do squealies. Another example, the band Lamb of God and their song Laid to Rest. So again, just chugging on that low note. So that's a good technique, just to alternate between chugging on a chord and then fitting some single notes in between. So chug, 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 a couple notes there, and then chug, 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 and then a longer phrase. Let's see. Yeah, so we got those chords in there. Then a couple notes there, bum, 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 you know, and then a few notes up here. So that's a good way to write a riff, just alternating between chords and single notes. And then later when it goes, you know, just kind of same kind of structure, that same chugging, and then just a few single notes to kind of add like some melody there or something that the ear can sort of follow. Now, let's see, another example of this, I'm going to tune back to standard. Stan actually mentioned this one earlier. Enter Sandman by Metallica. So look at what's happening there. Hey, we got Daniel in the chat. Daniel, thanks for joining us. We're just talking about how to write metal riffs right now. So, you know, let me know what are some of your favorite riffs. And I've been explaining this in like 3 levels. So level 1 is just starting with power chords and learning how to palm mute. Because with power chords, you can play them almost anywhere. So you just pick like some random spots and just add like some palm mutes in there. And practice some patterns that could be done with the kick drum, you know. And then level 2 was drop tuning. I had tuned down to drop C, and I was showing how that enables you to play power chords. It moves the notes, so instead of using 3 fingers, you use 1 finger. So that speeds you up where you can play quicker riffs and move across. And you also get the open string, so that opens up a lot of opportunity for some pretty fast riffs or cool riffs. And then now we're talking about adding single notes, kind of alternating between the chords and the single notes. So I'm using Enter Sandman as an example. So we've got that low power chord, we chug with the palm mute, and then we've got just a few single notes here. And that's such a catchy grouping of notes. So, and we just play that pattern 3 times. And then the 4th time, we have a twist, a little variation. And also, I think I can hear my my signal shorting out a little bit, so I'm sorry about that if you guys are hearing that too. I'm using, Daniel, I'm using a wireless system. This was sent to me from a company, and I'm trying it out. I'm going to shoot a video reviewing this, and it actually works pretty good, but I'm testing the battery life, so we're going to see how it holds up. I don't know if if I need to change the frequency. It could be a setting issue, or maybe the battery's dying. I'm not sure. Hopefully it's hanging in there. Still coming through all right, but yeah, that third time, we just got power chords here, and then just kind of doing some chugs. Like, that's so metal right there. Chug, chug, chug. You know, so patterns are good too. Like, you know, not just hitting a bunch of random stuff, but having some kind of pattern that repeats and stays interesting. This I would call this an AAAB pattern, because you're playing the same riff 3 times, and then on the 4th time you change it. They kind of do the same thing with Sad But True. Three, and then on the 4th time, 4. Like, that's the only variation right there for that main riff, you know. Rather than going down, they just stay on the same one. But yeah, just some single notes. So kind of alternating between chords and single notes, that's kind of a good way to write riffs. Awesome. Daniel's working on the song "You Can't Kill Rock and Roll." So, are you planning to shoot a video for that? I'll have to check that. I know you've posted some videos playing songs before, so I'd love to see that. And yeah, it's nice when you hear a song, you can't get it out of your head, and yeah, definitely have to learn those songs and stuff. So that's really cool. Hope you're having a good shift at work. Appreciate you stopping by for a little bit. And yeah, Stan, I'll have to show you those chugs sometimes. You can do them on acoustic, you know. I know you've got an electric now, but yeah, electric's really where you get it. And you also want to dial in like a good tone for those chugs. Let's see, a couple other examples. I'm going to go back to drop tune. Okay, cool. So in drop tuning, let's see. So another song. Forgetting my examples. Here's kind of an example using like chords with it. It's an old song from a band of mine. Y'all have heard me play that before. And yeah, just using power chords and just chugging. I would call that an A-B-A-C pattern. So we've got our A pattern, and then our B pattern, which is a little different. We go back to the A pattern, and then we have a new pattern, the C pattern. You know, so that keeps the riff interesting. So it's like got some similarities, but it, you know, just enough variety to keep it interesting. There's another song that my band back in the day had written. Forgetting the name right now, but it goes. Let's see. That was actually a riff that my friend had written, and yeah, just playing single notes, you know, you're just kind of palm muting on that low string, and then just alternating back and forth from that in some kind of melody. a new pattern. And then we go back to the first pattern. And then a third pattern. You know, so again, there's some variation in there. A, B, A, C. That's a pattern I tend to like. Cool. And then we're going to look at level... Oh, and then one other thing. Speed picking. Speed picking is very metal. So now, when you first use speed picking, you don't have to go incredibly fast. So let's see. There was a song we did... yeah, there's a song we did that went... let's see. Yeah, there we go. So it went... and then later it gets to the section that goes... let's see. I forgot how to play it. So, you know, that's an example of single notes. I'm not playing chords, I'm not chugging, but just kind of, again, just kind of creating this melody and then playing it aggressively. And again, that's a section that goes really well with the drums doing the double bass. That's how you create some intensity. That's how you create that sort of metal, you know, that sound that metal is known for. Yeah, Daniel, if the buffering is bad, it may not be on your end. We've had, it seems like whenever we have weather here, like you know, rain and stuff, the stream does seem to be a bit laggy. So it's kind of frustrating, and I think the internet's already not very fast where I'm at, and then the weather just makes it worse. So it's been a little rainy lately, and I think that's interfering with it. So I certainly apologize for that. Let's look at level 4. So for level 4, let me go back to standard tuning. So this is the last level, or at least the last level that I'm presenting as some tools to use for writing riffs. Of course, when it comes to riff writing, songwriting in general, there's so much you can do. But a few more techniques. So one, we had learned about the power chord. There's also something called the inverted power chord. So how does that work? Well, let's play this power chord here. The reason power chords you can play anywhere is because it's only 2 notes. It's the root note, the fifth, which the fifth is always the same whether it's a major or a minor chord, so that's why you can play this anywhere. And then the last note is just an octave of the root note. So that's the same note as the low note. And then you've just got the fifth in between that harmonizes, and there you go. That's a power chord. But to invert that means you do it the other way. So you change the root note to the middle, and you play the fifth, but then you play an octave lower of the fifth. So here's a fifth. Here's the same note 1 octave lower. You play the root note in between. Ooh, you hear that? What's cool about inverted power chords is they sound really heavy. So like, here's the lowest chord I can hit on my guitar. But if I play an A, which sounds higher, and then I invert it, that sounds even lower. And this is actually a trick. I kind of discovered this on piano a little bit. On guitar, I really learned about this. I think I messed around with it some, but I really started using it more after I discovered Silosis, because they use it all the time. But on piano, a lot of times in the left hand, I'll play octaves, and I noticed that if I added the fifth with my pointer finger, it really beefed up the chord and made it sound like thicker and more, I don't know, more punchy. And I kind of like it because there's some clarity there. So it's not just tuning lower and lower to get a heavier sound, but like just, I don't know, it sounds beefier. So it's a Silosis riff right there. Hey, Daniel. Glad you're back. I don't know if you heard me say earlier, I was saying if there is some lag, it might not be your end, it might be my end. We've had some weather lately, and whenever it's like kind of raining here, that always seems to interfere with the stream, so it's frustrating. So yeah, sorry about that. And I'm just talking about, this is the last level, or at least the last level I'm going to discuss with riffs. So just a few more techniques that are kind of a bit more advanced, but inverted power chords. I'm just talking about how cool those sound. So a regular power chord. Here's a regular A power chord, but if you take the fifth and play that an octave lower with it, you can really beef it up, and especially with some palm mutes. One of my favorite riffs from Silosis is this one. And that's using inverted power chords. Right there. Those last few notes are all inverted. So you can combine the two, and that's a great way just to make some heavy riffs. Yeah, sorry about the lag. And then you can use inverted power chords in drop tuning as well. So if I drop down. They're not quite as simple to play. You've got your power chord, and then it's right above, right there. So that's your... So even the song I played earlier, the Into the Unknown, I use an inverted power chord at one section. So yeah, those are really cool. And then, again, we were talking about single notes and speed picking. The next step would just be to take that stuff even further. So one of my favorite bands, Between the Buried and Me, this is one of my favorite riffs from them, and this is an example of how they're using those single notes, but they're incorporating the whole guitar into the riff. Sorry, that was sloppy. Yeah, I got lost, but yeah, you get the idea though. So kind of starting with the chord and then, again, just kind of playing this melody. And then same thing. Another thing I like to do is sort of outlining an arpeggio. And you can kind of create a pattern out of that. Here's some speed picking. So, yeah, you can see that as you get further along, you can take all these techniques and you kind of just use them all. You know, at first, all you might have are just power chords and palm muting. That might be it. But as you learn these other tricks, you can really start merging them in a way where they're interchangeable and almost instantly interchangeable. It's not like, okay, this part's chugging and this part's speed picking. It's like, no, it's almost like you're merging the two where they're almost like one technique. You know, it's kind of weird. Trying to think if I have any other examples. Yeah, and then you can even use full-on chords. You know, again, we were talking about extending them, so rather than just playing a power chord, you I do this in 4U where I extend it and I play this bigger chord. It sounds a bit more powerful. And then go to those chugs. So yeah, so those are some techniques. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that kind of gives you guys some ideas of some ways that, some techniques that you can use to write your own metal riffs and sort of how a metal riff works. If you have any questions about that, just leave a comment. And also let me know, Daniel, I had asked this earlier, but what are some of your favorite riffs? Leave a comment, or what are some of your favorite riffs, whether they're just, from any song or some of your favorite riffs to play. Yeah, leave a comment. So if you have any more questions about that, leave a comment. I'm going to go ahead and play another song for you guys. Make sure I'm tuned here. Going to play another song for you guys, and yeah, we'll see what happens. This song is for you. Notice the techniques I'm using. I'm drop tuning. I know you've coped with this loneliness. You think you're okay, but you've been dragged. I'm out here pleading, but you can't hear me. Your silent screams are deafening. Well, ignore my warning. You just know that I'm sorry for you. And all this time, just know that I've tried for you. Come back to me. I thought I was different, but you made me like them. Begged you to hold on, but you still let go. And from the distance, I can see what's missing. Never listen, so you'll never know. Well, ignore my warning. Just know that I'm sorry for you. And all this time, just know that I've tried for you. Come back to me. Come back to me. Come back to me. Come back to me. You're my closest friend. Deepest wound, my most painful scar, and I cherish you. Well, I go. That's cool, Stan. Yep. You just focus on one technique, you kind of learn that and get used to that. And then later, as you learn something new, a lot of times you can incorporate it into stuff that you already know, or into things that you learn from now on. And that's pretty much how the learning process goes, especially with guitar. I mean, for me, I always felt like, with guitar, like I just learned kind of, especially since like I just wanted to play, and I got into songwriting from playing guitar, So the power chord, that was all I needed just to start writing songs. So that's all I focused on. And then every time I would learn a new technique, that just became a new tool to use for songwriting. And so it's like, oh, this is neat. And so I'd start exploring that, kind of playing around with that a little bit. Let's see what. Oh, so is the lag getting worse? Yeah, that stinks. That's frustrating. Yep. I don't know. Don't know if there's anything I can do about that, But appreciate you guys kind of letting me know. Daniel, how's your week been and stuff? Anything cool or eventful happen with you lately? One thing, I don't know if you caught this earlier. I briefly mentioned it, but 1 second. Let me read your comment. I appreciate that, Stan. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Hopefully I can find some kind of solution for that, but that stinks. But I appreciate you stopping by, and I hope you have a good rest of your shift and a good rest of the week. Yeah, take care, man. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. But with that said, if this stream's kind of lagging pretty bad, maybe I'll just kind of keep the chit chat a little shorter and just kind of go into some songs here. As far as the battery goes, well, again, there was some disruption there. I mean, it's still coming through, so it hasn't like died, and I don't feel like it's crapped out on me. The only thing I've kind of noticed is every now and then there's sort of a waver in the, in the signal or whatever. And again, I'm not like an expert on wireless technology, so I don't know if that's just because I've chosen a weak setting or something, like a weak channel, and it's like, oh, if I could find a different channel, it would be a stronger signal. I don't know. I don't think the stream would interfere with this. I'm not really sure. I might talk to Jake a little bit and see. But I mean, it's getting by fine. It's like, I wouldn't say it's awful, For some people, this might be good enough, It's like, for some people, like, the slightest thing, that's going to be a deal breaker, And, but I think, if you don't have a lot of money, but for some reason you need the ability to be wireless, it's like, I don't think this is a bad option. It seems to work pretty good as far as I can tell. Gonna dive into another song here. This one's an instrumental. If it's playing, 1 second. There we go. Yeah, thanks for the feedback, Stan. Uh, yeah, not sure what the cause of that is, but I'll have to play around with it a little more. Which, by stutters, I think we're still talking about the wireless system. I don't know if you meant the whatchamacallit, the stream itself. Okay. But anyway, yeah, I'm sorry. Stan, let me know this as well. Well, I'm assuming do most streams play relatively smooth? I do think it's just the weather, and it's just really unfortunate that the weather is kicking in right now. You know, the weather just seems to create these little lags happening. Hey, Brian, thanks for joining. Appreciate that, man. Yep, that was a little instrumental. We're just discussing, there's a little bit of weather happening on my end, and I think it's interfering with the stream, so there's some lag. The audio seems to come through okay, but the video itself kind of pauses every now and then. So I really apologize for that. Um, we are getting near the end of the stream here, but I still have another song that I'll be playing in a moment, and we were talking earlier about how to write metal riffs and stuff. Do you play guitar or anything? You play guitar, bass, or drums? And what are some of your favorite riffs? You know, that was something we were talking about earlier. Some of our favorite riffs. I think Stan said, Enter Sandman and Crazy Train. Those were a couple of his. Oh yeah, Silosis is a big influence. So yeah, I can see where Silosis is definitely some influence there, especially the solo stuff. I kind of blew the solo a little bit. That's probably one of the hardest solos I've written, and so if I haven't practiced it much, like that's a tough one to play. Um, but Josh Middleton, that dude just shreds on guitar. And yeah, speaking of riffs, I mean, Silosis is a go-to. You know, like they just write such good riffs. If I were to tune to standard, one of my favorite riffs is from Silosis, Servitude. Like, that's just such a fun riff to play, and that's just a heavy one that kind of, I don't know, that's such a good riff right there. What are some other ones? Yeah. Sorry. Let's see. I got to relearn that one. That's a cool one. So, let's see. I can't remember how to play, but To Build a Tomb, that's a good one. And let's see. Yeah, they've got some good riffs, so. All right, guys, I got one more song for you, but yeah, sorry again for the technical issues. I think probably got to wrap this one up a little bit. But if you have any questions about writing riffs, chord progressions, things like that, let me know. If you have any suggestions for future topics, things you'd like me to discuss, or things you'd like me to go into more detail about, leave a comment, leave some suggestions, and I'll keep them in mind for future episodes. For anyone joining, I promise the streams aren't always like this. Usually, I think they go a little bit smoother. Just having some weather on my end that seems to be interfering with the broadcast, I guess you could call that. Yep, got one more song for you. Hope you like it. This one's called "Waking Up." It's too much effort to pull away the covers that hold me down and won't let go. It smothers me, the weight of this anxiety pressing me into my pillow. A blissful sleep, chasing lies and counting sheep. It sure is easy, but not for me. So here I am, with all I have. I'm waking up, I'm facing what's in front of me. I won't back down, I can't stop now. I'm waking up, so I can start to dream. Toss and turn, and tick by talk the hours burn, waiting for this night to end. A part of me begging to go back to sleep. It sure is easy, but not for me. I am, with all I have. I'm waking up, facing what's in front of me. I won't back down, I can't stop now. I'm waking up, so I can start to dream your what's in front of me. I won't back down, I can't stop now. I'm waking up, so I can start to dream. So here I am, with all I have. I'm waking up, I'm facing what's in front of me. I won't back down, I can't stop now. I'm waking up, so I can start to dream. Hey, Logan, appreciate that. And yeah, that's the good thing. I mean, if the streams do lag, at least the audio still comes through, so you could just listen to it like a podcast. And truth be told, I don't know how much you need to see me. I think maybe it's nice to see when I'm playing, to see the performance. But as far as the conversation goes, really, you just need to be able to hear my voice, and you can still hear the music either way. So I could see where, that's a way to do it. Especially if you've got like portable speakers, like a little JBL speaker or something, some kind of iHome thing. You can just set that up, just play this, and you can be cleaning your room or trying to think what else can you do that doesn't require, doing a Sudoku puzzle, just kind of chilling in your room while listening to it and sort of multitasking as long as it's not too distracting from the conversation and the music that's happening. But anyway, hopefully we'll have better weather next week and a smoother stream. But guys, I do appreciate you stopping by, even those who had to pull away and stuff. But coming by for just a brief moment, I really appreciate that. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you'd like to support me, there is a link in the description with a virtual tip jar, and I certainly appreciate that. If you don't have the financial means to support me, my biggest goal right now is to build an audience. So anything you can do to help with that. I've got an email list, and if you're not signed up, that I would appreciate that if you'd sign up for my email list. But just sharing the streams, sharing my videos, inviting people to come to the live streams, all that really helps. And just not forgetting to like the video and subscribe and all that good stuff. But I really do appreciate you guys tuning in. And I hope you found the topic interesting. I hope you enjoyed the stream, even with the technical issues and stuff. Hopefully the next one will be a little smoother. But again, thank you so much. Until next time.